Bioscience paper, first year GNM. February 2022. Part 2. Answer the following. Draw a neat diagram of nephron and label its part and write its functions. 5 marks. Composition of urine and functions of kidney. 5 marks. Classify the different types of joints and give one example of each. 5 marks. Draw a neat diagram of nephron and label its part and write its functions. Nephron tubular component, hollow, fluid-filled tube. Single layer of epithelial cells. Components. Bowman's capsule. Proximal convoluted tubule. Loop of Henle. Descending limb, ascending limb. Distal convoluted tubule. Collecting duct or tubule. Juxtaglomerular apparatus. Function of nephron. Urine formation. Basic renal processes. Glomerular filtration. Tubular reabsorption. Tubular secretion. Urine results from these three processes. Excretion equals filtration, reabsorption plus secretion. Composition of urine and functions of kidney. Urine is an excretory product of the body. It is formed in the kidney. Urine examination helps in the diagnosis of various renal as well as systemic diseases. Normal chemical composition of urine. Volume 600 to 2000 milliliters. Specific gravity 1.003 to 1.030. pH 4.6 to 8.0. Urine is the aqueous solution of greater than 95% of water. Of a minimum, these remaining constitute: urea 9.3 grams L, chloride 1.87 grams L, sodium 1.17 grams L, potassium 0.750 grams L, creatinine 0.670 grams L. Other dissolved ions, inorganic and organic compounds, protein, hormones, metabolites. Urine is sterile until it reaches the urethra, where epithelial cells lining urethra are colonized. Urea is essentially a processed form of ammonia. Functions of kidney: excretion of wastes and other foreign substances. Regulation of blood ionic composition. Regulation of blood pH. Production of hormones. Regulation of blood pressure. Regulation of blood volume. Maintenance of blood osmolarity. Regulation of blood glucose level. Classify the different types of joints and give one example of each. The junction between two or more bones. With the exception of the hyoid bone, every bone in the body is connected to or forms a joint. There are 230 joints in the body. Joint functions. 1. Hold the skeletal bones together. 2. Allow the skeleton some flexibility so gross movement can occur. 3. Make bone growth possible. Joint classification. Joints are classified by movement or tissue type. Movement. Immovable, slightly movable, freely movable tissue, more common. 1. Fibrous. 2. Cartilaginous. 3. Synovial. There are 6 types of synovial joints: ball and socket joint, condyloid joint, gliding joint, hinge joint, pivot joint, saddle joint. Answer the following questions. A. Draw a neat diagram of large intestine and label its parts. 5 marks. B. Write composition and functions of bile. 5 marks. C. Draw a diagram of female reproductive system and label its parts. 5 marks. Draw a neat diagram of large intestine and label its parts. Large intestine: last part of the digestive system. Its function is to absorb body water from the matter, and then to pass useless waste material from the body. Larger in diameter, but shorter than the small intestine. Write composition and functions of bile. Bile is a bitter tasting, dark green to yellowish brown fluid, produced by the liver. Bile aids the process of digestion of lipids in the small intestine. Bile is stored in the gallbladder and upon eating is discharged into the duodenum. Bile is a composition of the following materials: water 85%, bile salts 10%, pigments 3%, fats 1%, inorganic salts 0.7%, and cholesterol 0.3%. The secretion of bile can be considered to occur in 2 stages. 1. Hepatocytes secrete bile into canaliculi, from which it flows into bile ducts. This hepatic bile contains large quantities of bile acids, cholesterol, and other organic molecules. 2. As bile flows through the bile ducts, it is modified by addition of a watery, bicarbonate-rich secretion from ductal epithelial cells. The gallbladder stores and concentrates bile. Bile is concentrated five-fold in the gallbladder by absorption of water. Functions of bile. Emulsification of lipid aggregates. Bile acids have detergent action on particles of dietary fat. Solubilization and transport of lipids in an aqueous environment. Bile acids are lipid carriers. Role of bile acids. In cholesterol metabolism, hepatic synthesis of bile acids accounts for the majority of cholesterol breakdown in the body. Excretion of bilirubin and biliverdin via bile. Draw a diagram of female reproductive system and label its parts. Female reproductive system produce sex hormones. Estrogen, progesterone. Produce egg, ovate, support and protect developing embryo. Give birth to new baby. Major organs: cervix, vagina, ovaries, gonads, uterine tubes, fallopian tubes, uterus. Or, answer the following. Draw and list the organs of respiratory system 5 marks. Write the functions of vertebral column 5 marks. Draw a neat diagram of cross section of eyeball and label it 5 marks. Draw and list the organs of respiratory system. The respiratory system consisting of specific organs and structures used for gas exchange in human. Organs of respiratory system. Nose and nasal cavity. Pharynx, larynx, trachea. 2 bronchi, bronchioles. 2 lungs. Write the functions of vertebral column. The vertebral column, also known as the spinal column, is the central axis of the skeleton in all vertebrates. The vertebral column provides attachments to muscles, supports the trunk, protects the spinal cord and nerve roots, and serves as a site for hemipoiesis. The spine supports your body and helps you walk, twist and move. Draw a neat diagram of cross-section of eyeball and label it. The eye is a specialized sense organ that helps us to understand our environment. It is a sensory unit composed of 3 parts: receptor, sensory pathway, and a brain center. It is spherical in shape. It is about 2.5 centimeters in diameter. Situated in the orbital cavity. Answer the following. A. What is infection? 2 marks. B. Write the factors necessary for growth of microorganisms. 3 marks. C. Define sterilization and write in short one method of sterilization. 5 marks. D. Define biomedical waste and its classification. 5 marks. What is infection? The invasion and multiplication of microorganisms such as bacteria, viruses and parasites that are normally present within the body. An infection may remain localized or it may spread through the blood or lymphatic vessel to become systemic. Write the factors necessary for growth of microorganisms. Availability of nutrients, moisture, temperature, pH, osmotic pressure, atmospheric pressure, oxygen requirement. Define sterilization and write in short one method of sterilization. Sterilization can be defined as any process that effectively kills or eliminates transmissible agents, such as fungi, bacteria, viruses, from a surface, equipment, food, medication, or biological culture medium. Autoclave. Autoclaves use pressurized steam to destroy microorganisms and are the most dependable systems available for the decontamination of laboratory waste and the sterilization of laboratory glassware, media, and reagents. For efficient heat transfer, steam must flush the air out of the autoclave chamber. Generally, the conditions employed a temperature up to 121 to 134 degrees centigrade for 15 to 20 minutes under 15 IBS pressure, based on type of material used. Purposes of the autoclave: to prepare materials for bacteriological cell cultures, test tubes, pipettes, petri dishes, without contamination. Prepared elements used for taking samples: needles, tubes, containers. Sterilize contaminated material. Principles: boiling point of water is directly proportional to the pressure when the volume is constant. When pressure is increased in a closed vessel, the temperature increases proportionately, that is, for about 15 pounds of pressure per square inch, the temperature rises to 121 degrees centigrade. This pressure and temperature is kept constant for 20 minutes during autoclaving. It is sufficient to kill all the vegetative forms and spores of the organism. Define biomedical waste and its classification. Any waste which is generated during diagnosis, treatment, or immunization of human being or animals or in research activities pertaining or in the production or testing of biological, biomedical waste segregation. 1. Infectious waste. Infectious waste suspected to contain pathogens, bacteria, viruses, parasites, or fungi in sufficient quantity to cause diseases in susceptible hosts. This category includes cultures and stocks of infectious agents from laboratory work, waste from surgery on patients with infectious disease, infected animals from laboratories. 2. Pathological waste. It consists of tissues, organs, body parts, human fetuses, and animal carcasses, blood, and body fluids. 3. Sharps. These are the items that could cause cuts or puncture wounds, including needles, scalpel and other blades, knives, infusion sets, saws, broken glass, and nails. 4. Pharmaceutical waste. It includes expired, unused, spilled, and contaminated pharmaceutical products, drugs, vaccines, and sera. 5. Genotoxic waste. Genotoxic waste is highly hazardous and may have mutagenic, teratogenic, or carcinogenic properties. It raises serious safety problems, both inside hospitals and after disposal, and should be given special attention. It includes certain cytostatic drugs, vomit, urine, or feces from patients treated with cytostatic drugs, chemicals, and radioactive material. 6. Chemical waste. It consists of discarded solid, liquid, and gaseous chemicals. Chemical waste may be hazardous or non-hazardous. 7. Wastes with high content of heavy metals. It represents a subcategory of hazardous chemical waste, and is usually highly toxic. It includes batteries, broken thermometer, blood pressure gauges. 8. Pressurized containers. Many types of gas are used in healthcare, and are often stored in pressurized cylinders, cartridges, and aerosol cans. Most common gases used in healthcare includes anesthetic gases, ethylene oxide, oxygen, compressed air. 9. Radioactive waste. It includes the X-rays, alpha and beta particles, and gamma rays emitted by radioactive substances. Thank you for watching.